Hi guys, I'm AVM and welcome back. Now, one of the biggest criticisms in 2020 still is that EVs are too expensive. My response is usually that an entry-level EV is a used one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give myself a budget of £5,000 to £10,000 and see what's out there for that budget. My plan is to trawl the internet and find what I can get at 5,000, 5 and a bit, 6, 7, let's say 8, 9, 10 cars in the £5,000 to £10,000 range. Which one would I go for if I was spending that amount of money? Now, there's no sponsor or anything on this video, but I am going to ask you for a little bit of money. My brother is basically doing the London to Brighton off-road charity ride, and he's trying to raise a target of £1,000 to the British Heart Foundation. I will put the link to the Just Giving page in the description below. So please, 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 if you can, donate to that one, because I'm quite frankly too lazy to do that, and I don't think I'd be able to manage it anyway. My brother is Simon, who's the other boot measure metric. So I think it's only fair, if you enjoy Simon boot measurings, that you donate to his charity bike ride. Right, so for £5,000 to £10,000, what do you reckon you can get in the used EV market? Well, clearly I'm going to start off at the £5,000 bracket. This one is a little car, and it's actually one that, again, never ever depreciates. It's from 2012, I believe, yes, and it's a Peugeot Ion. It's a small four-seater. It's only going to be used for school runs, commuting. Perfect for commuting. About 50 miles of range on this particular one, because the person actually states that. So yeah, you're getting a 7-year-old EV that hasn't dropped in price probably in 3 or 4 years. That does about 50 miles of range for £5,000, and there's no battery lease on that one either. Because there's very, very little option, certainly in this £5,000 price bracket, that's the one I would probably go for, because it's basic, simple motoring, and there's no battery lease. And let's face it, if you're going to spend £5,000 on an EV, you're not going to get a long range one, are you? Especially when you consider the fact it's probably going to be worth £5,000 a year from now. Moving up the price a little bit now, at £5,995, we have our first Renault Zoe. It's the 22 kilowatt hour battery leased, of course, and I'll explain what that is if you don't know in a second. 2013 car, just under £6,000. Now, as I said, wow, this has got 7,000 miles on it. Someone clearly has never driven this car. That's too low almost. It's been sat around a while, I'm guessing, and that's not good for batteries. But in this case, I wouldn't care. And there are many options at £6,000. I'll just pick this one because it looked all right. Now, what a battery lease means, if you're unaware, is that you buy the car, but you lease the battery. So imagine you bought a car for £20,000 and that was the whole car, the whole thing, battery included. You could then, or you did then, have the option with the Zoe to buy a battery lease version of that. So instead of costing £20,000, it costs £15,000, but you're paying a monthly sum. So the longer you kept the car, the less sense it made to lease the battery. However, on the used market, lease batteries actually, at this age anyway, a very good thing. Because this is, what, a 2013, so it's coming up to 7 years old. People have been typically worried about battery health. It's 7 years, ooh, they only last 3. It doesn't matter because it's always under warranty. I think it's £45 a month for this one, so you're looking at about £600 a year, give or take. But you never ever have to worry about the only thing that people do worry about in electric cars, the battery. Think of it like spending £600 a year on a warranty scheme. So you're getting a car which is a small family car, decent sized boot. It could basically act as a family car really, only you wouldn't be going on long trips with 4 of you in it with your camping gear in the back. But other than that, it's actually a very capable, it's a comfortable, decent range car. You'll get 70 miles out of it on average, I would say. So in this case, £6,000 gets you a 2013 Renault Zoe, where you're spending £600 a year on the lease, but very little on fuel. I pay £10.35 per 1,000 miles, and I've backed that up with figures, that's not a guess. Now let's move up the price a bit, just under £6,500. This one is a Nissan Leaf, a 2014 24 kilowatt hour Ascenter. Obviously it's a bigger car than the Zoe. It's what I would call a good family car. I've had 2 now over the last nearly 5 years. We've been camping, we've been all over the place. I think I've done about 80 80,000 miles in the 2 Leafs we've had combined. So yeah, can't really fault the car at all. The reliability, all that sort of stuff. Now the reason why this is £6,500, which even for this is a good price, is that this is also a battery lease version. You don't really find them anymore. There are some around, clearly, but Nissan did the same as Renault initially, and they're the only 2 people that ever did, where you had the choice of a lease battery version or a battery-owned version. Nissan stopped doing this several years ago, and most dealers bought out the lease to make it a whole car. But you can still find some. So for this, you're getting a £6,500 Leaf with a battery lease, similar to the Zoe. Would you pay £600 a year for a perpetual warranty on an old used car? It's not bad, not bad. This one's done 48,000 miles, and yeah, I can't really fault it as a car. It does about 70 odd miles of range, and it'd be a brilliant family car, or second car, or a primary car, and you use your petrol as a secondary car, whatever. But it's a good dipping your toes into an electric car, because that, again, a year from now, given its battery lease status and its, you know, how clean it looks, I reckon it's still going to be worth £6,500 a year from now. Some of them have even appreciated in value. I mean, what cars go up in value these days that aren't special? It's crackers. And again, the supply and demand is just so far apart. I can't see that changing anytime soon. I think it'll be years before it becomes a normal used car market. Right, let's up the price. £7,000 now. What can you get for £7,000? Well, out of everything that I can find on the used market, this is the one I would pick. It's another Renault Zoe. This one is a 2015 example, and it's only done about 38,000 miles, but battery lease again, of course. But again, you can't really get better value in terms of range and capability for your money. Once more, you don't have to worry about the battery, because let's face it, I'm picking battery leased ones deliberately, because that's the thing that people always say. Oh no, the batteries, I'm worried about the batteries. And that's on new ones. So on used ones, people are usually terrified and don't want to go near them. So the reason why I've picked, not all, but a lot of battery leased versions is because then that argument kind of disappears. The ones I've found are full service history, and again, that would be a perfect either first car for someone, or just a second car that you use for, you know, commuting, shopping trips, whatever. Not quite, you know, a 4.5-year-old car for £7,000 that's going to cost you almost nothing to run. No tax, very little on fuel. There's no real maintenance to do other than brake discs, pads and fluids. Oh, and tyres, I guess. It's one thing that a lot of people conveniently forget when they're comparing a petrol car to something like this. There's no cam belts, no spark plugs, no oil changes, no fuel filters, oil filters, turbos to go wrong. I mean, a cam belt alone, the last cam belt I had to change anyway on a car I owned, I think it was £450 for that, just for that. And I know they're only done every 4 or 5 years, but that's a significant bill. In fact, it's almost as much as a year's battery lease. So, you know, factor everything here. The total cost of ownership is all that matters ultimately. You buy that for £7,000 and it's worth £7,000 a year later. It's cost you nothing in depreciation. I'm sure if you bought a Renault Clio, which that is based on, for £7,000, it'll be worth less than £7,000 a year later. Probably a fair bit less. Right, I'm going to really up the price on this one. £8,645. This is a Nissan Leaf 2016 24 kilowatt hour Ascenta. There's no battery lease on this one, so this is the entire car. Again, you've got a similar range of about 70-ish miles, 70, 80 miles, depending on how you drive. This one definitely has the full battery bars, because I can see it on the pictures. Full service history, MOTs, all the usual sort of stuff that you like to have on a used car. So yeah, and bear in mind that these are the advertised price. In theory, you should get them cheaper than this. So let's say £8,500 for a, well, what, not quite 4-year-old Nissan Leaf. I mean, you could get a 3, 4, even 5-year loan for one of these. And I reckon, depending on the mileage you do, you will probably save in fuel alone on average mileage of what the loan would cost you just to have the car. Again, no tax. Bills for maintenance should be very low compared to an equivalent petrol car. So that is the one I would go for, I think, if that was my budget. Right, now I'm up to £9,000. And I'll be honest, this is one of those rare gems you find, you think, there's something wrong with this. I don't know, is it advertised wrong? It's almost too cheap, but it isn't. I've checked up on this, I've rung up. It is what they say it is, and I know why they're selling it at this price, or rather how. For £9,000, this is a 2016 30 kilowatt hour Nissan Leaf Ascenter. It's basically my car. In fact, it's 6 months newer than my car. The only difference is mine has a 6.6 charger on it, which does carry a premium, by the way. So if you see one with a 6.6 charger on, it's probably going to be more expensive. Now, why is this about £1,500 below the market price? Because it is, 9 grand is a steal for that, an absolute steal. In fact, it's so cheap, I've not bothered listing any more cars after this one, because you're going to have to spend, again, 10.5, nearly £11,000 to get that car. I've just managed to find a blinder. Now, don't get me wrong, by the time this video goes out in a couple of days, it's probably already gone. But basically, it's definitely a 30 kilowatt hour. I've verified that. Full 12 bars on the car. I mean, you can see that on the picture. Thankfully, they've put it on there. And it's a Mazda dealer that's actually selling it. So you can get finance, and that is partly how they are achieving this. There's some sort of special offer, from what he tells me, where there's a contribution from them or Mazda, I'm not sure who's doing it, towards the finance. So you have to buy that car to get it at £9,000. You have to get it with finance. Most people will probably be doing that anyway. But what you can do is buy it with finance, get the discount, and then a month later pay it off. If you do, yeah, it might end up costing you a couple hundred, maybe £300 in fees and a little bit of interest. But even if we knock that up a lot, £9,500 for that, again, it's a steal. It's done 65,000 miles, so it's got a good amount of miles on it. But other than that, the battery is still under warranty for 35,000 miles or 4.5 years. So you don't have to worry about the battery anytime soon. And again, running costs are going to be dirt cheap. When I spoke to them, I kind of got the impression that they've taken this in Part X and just kind of want to get rid of it. Don't really know anything about them. Mazda don't do any EVs yet, of course. So these are the sort of things that are worth waiting for. People that say, right, I want to buy a car, look on Auto Trade or eBay, all the usual places, and then buy one within a day or something, or that weekend. And you think, you could be missing out on some real bargains here because you're too impatient. So yeah, just don't be one of these that buys the first thing that you come across, or you walk into your local dealer and buy the car off them because you can't be bothered looking around. I mean, put some effort in, for God's sake. It always perplexes me why people say, oh, I don't like car shopping. I just kind of went around a couple and then bought it from my local dealer. Right, so what you're saying is you couldn't be bothered spending a day visiting places to save potentially thousands of pounds. I mean, let's face it, if I said to someone, I'll give you £1,000 if you go and visit several car dealerships and find me a car at the best price, you'd snap my hand off, wouldn't you? You'd say, £1,000 to do car shopping? Pfft, of course I'm going to do that. But when it's your own car, can't be bothered. Yeah, there's no point in going any higher because there's nothing that's better than that, even past £10,000. So yeah, they are the cars. It's basically a choice between a Zoe and a Leaf, effectively. They're the only realistic choices you have when you go to these kind of 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old cars, because that's all that was out at the time. That was the only choice. I remember looking around before we got our first Leaf, and it was literally, well, should we get a Zoe or a Leaf? They were the choices. Couldn't afford a Tesla, and that was about it. 3, 4, 5 years from now, it's going to be a very different kettle of fish. There's going to be a lot more choice out there. But yeah, total cost of ownership is the only thing that matters. What you buy the car for, what it costs you to run and fuel, and then what you get when you sell it. The classic mistake people always make when comparing A to B is they forget that you bought something that's worth, it's an asset. It's an asset, you can sell it. If one of them is depreciating faster than the other, that's going to be more expensive. So let me know what you think. Would you spend 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,000 pounds on any of these? Does it tempt you into dipping your toe into electric car ownership? Or are you just thinking, nah, if you want something and you can't afford it, then you just have to work harder or save up for longer. Be patient. I get fed up of people saying because something is out of reach financially for them, therefore no one should be able to have it. It's rubbish. They're too expensive, so therefore they're crap. Sorry about that, guys, but yeah, I can't help it. I get so many comments, and they're all the same comments from the same type of people. Right, yeah, so please do put in the comment section what you think about this video, not electric cars in general. You know, does this tempt you into any of them? Please do the Just Giving thing for my brother's bike charity ride. That will really be helpful. And that's it. So if you have been watching, thank you very much, and I'll see you soon.